I bet you didn't know AI struggles with originality. Have you ever watched a movie where the same line gets repeated ad nauseum? It's annoying, right? Now imagine that. But with AI generated content, it's a real problem, folks. When AI repeats itself, it's like a robot telling the same bad joke over and over. Not exactly the recipe for engaging content. Repetition is a telltale sign that the AI is struggling. It's like it's stuck in a rut, unable to come up with anything new. And trust me, your audience will notice. They'll be bored, disengaged, and maybe even a little insulted. This isn't just about entertainment either. Imagine AI writing a crucial report with the same statistic repeated 5 times. It undermines credibility and makes the whole thing feel amateurish. We're talking about potentially damaging consequences, people. So, the next time you see AI spitting out the same phrase like a broken record, remember, it's not just a quirk, it's a problem, and it's one we need to address. Now, let's get technical for a minute. How does AI even learn to write in the first place? Picture a baby learning to speak. They hear words repeated, they mimic, they learn patterns. AI works in a similar way, but on a much larger scale. These algorithms are fed massive amounts of text data. They analyze this data, identifying patterns and relationships between words. Think of it like AI building a giant vocabulary and grammar rule book based on what it's read. The problem is sometimes the AI gets a little too reliant on these patterns. It's like that friend who always tells the same stories. At parties, they've found something that works and they're sticking with it even if it's getting stale. And just like with that friend, sometimes you need to give AI a gentle nudge or a hard reset to break out of its repetitive rut. Okay, enough theory. Let's look at some real-world examples of AI repetition gone wrong. Picture this: an AI-powered chatbot designed to answer customer service questions. Sounds helpful, right? Now imagine that chatbot responding to every inquiry about shipping times with the exact same phrase. Your order is important to us. Please allow 3 to 5 business days for processing. Helpful, maybe the first time, soul crushing after the 10th. Or how about an AI-generated news article that repeats the same statistic 3 times in a single paragraph? Not exactly the pinnacle of journalistic integrity, is it? It's like listening to a politician give a speech entirely in sound bites. These examples might seem trivial, but they highlight a larger issue. Repetition undermines the credibility and effectiveness of AI-generated content. And in a world increasingly reliant on AI, that's a problem we can't afford to ignore. The downside of déjà vu. Why AI repetition is bad news. Okay, so we've established that AI repetition exists, but why is it such a big deal? First off, it's just plain boring. Repetitive content is like watching paint dry. It's dull, uninspired, and it makes people tune out. But it goes deeper than that. Repetition can also damage credibility. When an AI repeats itself, it gives the impression that it lacks depth, like it's just regurgitating information instead of truly understanding it. Imagine reading a scientific paper where the same technical term is defined multiple times in a single page. You'd start to question the author's expertise, right? The same goes for AI. Repetition makes it look, well, kind of dumb. And in a world where AI is being used for everything from writing news articles to composing music, that's a problem. We need AI to be engaging, informative, and above all credible. And that means tackling the repetition problem head on. Variety is the spice of AI. Practical tips for reducing repetition. Alright, enough doom and gloom. The good news is there are ways to combat AI repetition. Think of it like training a puppy. It takes time, patience, and a whole lot of positive reinforcement. First up, expand that AI's vocabulary. Just like you wouldn't want to read a book with the same 10 words repeated ad nauseum, AI needs a diverse vocabulary to keep things interesting. Next, let's mix up the sentence structure. Short, punchy sentences can be effective, but too many in a row and it's like listening to a woodpecker on a caffeine vendor. Variety is key. And finally, don't be afraid to edit and refine. Even the most sophisticated AI can benefit from a human touch. Think of it like this: AI is the sous chef, but you're the head chef, adding that final sprinkle of brilliance. Taming the algorithm, adjusting parameters for originality. Now, let's get a little more technical, shall we? Most AI writing tools come with adjustable parameters. Think of these as the knobs and dials you can tweak to fine-tune the output. One important parameter is temperature. High temperature, think of your AI as a jazz musician, riffing and improvising, potentially going off the rails. Low temperature, more like a classical pianist, sticking to the sheet music, predictable but reliable. Then there's beam search. Imagine your AI choosing a path through a maze of words. Beam search widens or narrows the paths it considers, influencing how predictable the output is. By experimenting with these parameters, you can encourage the AI to be more creative and less repetitive. It's like teaching it to think outside the box, or at least outside the algorithm. The human touch, editing and refining AI generated content. Okay, so you've used all the tricks, tweaked every parameter, and your AI is still spitting out repetitive content. Time to roll up your sleeves and get editing. Think of AI generated content as a first draft. It's a good starting point, but it likely needs some polishing before it's ready for prime time. Read through the text carefully, looking for repeated words, phrases, or even entire sentences. Don't be afraid to be ruthless. If it sounds repetitive, it's gotta go. Once you've identified the problem areas, it's time to get creative. Can you replace a repeated word with a synonym? Can you restructure a sentence to avoid redundancy? Can you add more context or supporting information? Remember, editing isn't just about fixing mistakes. It's about elevating the writing and making it the best it can be. And sometimes that means giving your AI a little human help. It's not just about written content, folks. Repetition rears its ugly head in AI chatbots and dialogue systems too. Imagine calling customer service and being met with the same canned responses. Frustrating, right? To avoid this, developers are constantly working on ways to make AI conversations more natural and engaging. One approach is to use contextual awareness, where the AI remembers previous interactions and tailors its responses accordingly. Another is to incorporate personality into the chatbot's language, making it sound less like a robot and more like a human. Of course, this requires careful consideration to avoid falling into stereotypical or offensive language. The goal is to create AI that can hold a conversation, not just regurgitate pre-programmed phrases. It's a tall order, but hey, if AI can write a screenplay, surely it can learn to make small talk, right? So, where do we go from here? The good news is that AI is constantly evolving. researchers are developing new techniques to make AI writing more creative, engaging, and yes, less repetitive. One promising avenue is reinforcement learning. This involves training AI models to write by rewarding them for producing original and interesting content. Think of it like giving your dog a treat for learning a new trick. Another area of exploration is generative adversarial networks, or GANs. These involve pitting two AI models against each other, with one generating text and the other evaluating its originality. The result? A constant back and forth that pushes both models towards greater creativity. The future of AI writing is full of possibilities. And while repetition might always be a challenge, the tools and techniques to overcome it are constantly evolving. Embracing the challenge, a call for vigilance and innovation. As AI becomes more integrated into our lives, it's crucial to remain vigilant about the potential pitfalls, repetition being a prime example. We can't just blindly accept AI-generated content without question. It's on all of us, developers, writers, and consumers, to demand better from AI. We need to push for tools and techniques that prioritize originality, creativity, and engagement. Think of it like this: AI is a powerful tool, but like any tool, it can be misused. It's up to us to ensure that it's used responsibly and ethically, creating content that informs, inspires, and captivates. So, let's embrace the challenge of mastering AI writing, repetition, and all. Let's strive for content that's not just grammatically correct, but also thought-provoking, insightful, and dare I say, entertaining. So, there you have it, folks. AI repetition, a problem, but not an insurmountable one. By understanding how and why AI repeats itself, we can take steps to mitigate the issue and unlock the true potential of AI writing. Remember, it's all about finding the right balance between leveraging the power of AI and maintaining the creativity and nuance that only humans can provide. It's a continuous journey of learning, adapting, and pushing the boundaries of what's possible. And who knows, maybe one day we'll look back on the days of repetitive AI and laugh. But until then, let's keep fighting the good fight, one original sentence at a time.